Welcome everyone. Let's start our lesson 3. Today lesson will go through LO3, Learning Outcome 3, understand the impact of criminal laws on the business and the professional organization. So that's what we'll go through. So please, what do you think? Current your knowledge about professional ethics. How much? Scale 1 to 10.
About 7.
7. Okay, good. Great. So always good to be, and we have assessment criteria here today. Is explain the relationship between the legal principle, case laws, ethical codes, explain the elements and the consequences of malpractices like fraud and bribery in the organization, offense penalties relating money laundering, and explain the offense penalties that related misuse of the cyber crimes. So those will go through. We have a key indicative contents are the key things which we're supposed to be learn. Its key focus is ethical and the codes and the crime and the fraud and money laundering. Of course, most of you already have a money laundering training as well. So that's the key which we'll go through in our discussion today lesson. Okay, I copied all the links at the end for further reading as well. You can do. Let's we'll recap first. What we learned during our last lesson. Okay, please, anybody remember anything what we learned during our last lesson or lesson before?
Insolvency.
Okay. What else, please?
Company formations.
Okay. Formation. Basically, we discussed PPCIO as well, yes?
Yeah.
We discussed contract, yes? We discussed element of contract. Anything else? What do you think? What else was in learning outcome 1 and 2? Do we remember? Yes. Okay. Welcome. Always good to be a bit to recap, so lesson 1 we discuss about a contract. What are the 5 elements we discuss? We discuss agent and agency theory. Yes. Agent and agency theory we discuss. We discuss negligence. Yes, what can be tort laws we discuss. Second lesson we discuss about Company Act. Yes, we discuss about shareholders. Company Act. Which year was? Anyone knows which year was we discuss?
2006.
Excellent. 2006. Well done. So 2006 we discuss Company Act. Then we discuss limited partnership, types of ownerships, and we discuss Partnership Act. Do we remember which year was? Anyone knows Partnership Act which year was? 1890. The year was, if we don't have a written agreement between partners, then of course, and we discuss about insolvency. Yes, so that's the key things we discussed in the previous lesson. So we'll move to the lesson, and that's the things which we are going to discuss. Okay, today first thing is the professional code of ethics. Do we know all the professional code of ethics? What those are and why ethics? Ethics is a crime. Ethics is what do you think? Under which law will come ethics? Ethics is a criminal law. Is it civil law? What do you think? Anyone?
Is it civil?
Yes, ethics comes civil laws. Yes, you have to pay damages. Ethics are the moral principle which is set by the awarding bodies, or morally, it's culturally, religious beliefs, whatever beliefs we have, that can be based on it. Ethics are the set of the moral principle and guide behavior. Ethics, value, or exemption belief. What are the benefit of ethics to account, and why we need to be follow ethics then? Really, we need to follow the ethics? What benefit will be your organization if you do ethics? Or if you don't follow code of ethics, what losses can be? Look around in moral and the legal terms. Yes. Ethic is set by the International Ethical Standard Board. All awarding body, they have a professional code of ethics. In the previous lesson, we discussed 5 code of ethics. Popular people kept in office, professional behavior, professional competencies, due care, which we'll go through, and confidentiality, integrity, and objective. So that's make our business is more value if we'll provide ethical, and it's our responsibility as well. Always one thing we need to think about the wider interest of public, yes, and use your professional judgment on it, yes. Sometimes because there is not clear-cut rules, we need to be follow the professional code of ethics. Okay. So as a member of the professional body, such as a qualified accountant, often code of ethics guide them ethical dilemmas arise. Several code of ethics has been developed, broadly similar. Professional certainly is essential. So we can say profession. We have a body of theories and the skills which are required. And then we need to be follow the code of ethics, values, and duty towards society. That's the key message. So what is this body of theory and the skills? This is the technical skills such as auditing or accounting standard. Acquire the training and education and examination system which ensures to obtain the knowledge required to set the responsibility. CPD, that is a crucial. Establish administrating these bodies and maintain the objective. So ethical ACCA is a professional code of ethics. ATHE professional code of ethics. IFA professional code of ethics. So all either you're a member or you're in practice, we all have to follow. Either we are student, we have to follow these professional code of ethics. So ethical behavior is always crucial. We need to be keep, because end of the day you don't look short term. In the long term is the more benefit. Avoid always conflict of interest. Keep the sensitive information. Be straightforward. Maintain knowledge, behavior, and skill, and within a spirit and the. So that's the huge. Then these are the 5 professional code of ethics which really we need to be follow as a professional accountant. Professional behavior, professional competence, objectivity, integrity, and confidential. Anybody any question about these professional code of ethics, or we all know that we discuss as well. To remember easily, PPCIO, which you can remember, popular people chat in office, and then you can, because some people are very popular and they carry on chatting in offices. Huh? Okay, that's the key. Any question here?
Yeah, no.
Thank you. Great. Let's move to the next, please. Then is a conceptual framework. What is about? An accountant code of professional ethics set the basic problem-solving procedures. Identify the threats to your fundamental principle. Those are 2 words are professional code. Evaluate those threats. Apply safeguard. Always try to be set up the safeguard. Like if you're doing, maybe you're doing bookkeeping work or you're doing audit work, so not same person will deal it. Huh? So always look around the conflict of interest where it's come. Delegate this task to someone else. Type of threats: self-review, self-interest, advocacy, familiarity. These can be leads to the compromised professional code of ethics, and we need to draw the safeguard that won't be happen. Like what do you think? Can we accept any gift? Whatever the client will give us. We are happy to accept the free holidays package. Huh? What do you think? What do you think? If somebody offer you free holidays to Europe, one of your client, what you will do? You will accept it or not?
You should accept it.
You should accept it.
That's right.
we need to think about, is it what happen your professional code of ethics? Is it any impact on your professional behavior or integrity? Yes, or that person can be influence on you. Normally we need to use the professional judgment in the ethics, not clearly written how much worth of the gift you can accept. It's come under hospitality, but we need to be make sure, because as a professional accountant we need to make sure it's not compromise our professional code of ethics. That's one thing. Because if it's a heavy, why they are giving you, why not giving to someone else? In, let's say you're 10 people working in an organization, because you may be dealing with that client, their account, and they want incentive out of it, and you can save tax on it, their account. That can be one of the reasons. That's why they are giving you. So we need to be very careful. Okay, and draw the safeguard. Normally people say up to £50 worth of the gift is acceptable, but you use the professional judgment. We don't have a clear rule for it. Okay, ethics. What do you think? Ethics is a rule based or principle based?
Principle.
Yes, ethics are the principle, not rules. So rules is mean the clear cut. Like if we don't follow the rules, we will be penalized as with the criminal charge as well. And if it's you not fulfill the ethical rule, that can be moral principle, or you have to pay the damages for it. So always we need to look around, and always we need to set the policies. Okay, the criminal law and the civil law. Criminal is mean if you don't affect whole community and punishable and the fine or imprisonment. The civil law is all about the, if you not fulfill the requirement, your contract laws, like these are under the ethics, and that's the civil matters, and you have to pay the damages on it. So accountant, we need to follow both. Yes, really, which is part of ethics as well, like such as the confidentiality. So we need to look around. The UK accounting profession is largely self-regulatory with the accounting bodies and responsible of setting standards. So as a professional accountant, we need to be follow those standards. So what do you think? Can we use the creative accounting?
No.
Why not?
Because, well, it's not ethical. It's not the spirit of the letter, is it?
Excellent. It's not ethical. Maybe we are going to break the law as well. Yes. That's why new standards carry on coming up. Sorry. Yes, please. Do you want to add something?
No.
Okay. So creative, like Enron. We see in the case of Enron. Do we know all Enron?
Yes.
Well, Telecom. Yes. So what's happened with them is all been not really sustained. Creative accounting under another stated things. Yes. For the sake of their own business. Yes. Keeping things off the balance sheet. We need to be, as accountant job, the editor job even as well, to give the true and fair. Yes. True and fair information to your users. So that's, we need to look around in the law of accounting, we need to look around the legislation. Those are, because then if you don't follow it, it's a crime as well, it's a civil penalties as well. So we need to be, as accountant, we need to be follow. International Federation of Accountant, we are all these accounting bodies, they are member, and they set the ethical standard. Consultative committee they carry on reviewing it. HMRC custom, those legislation we have. Then if we don't follow it, can be goes to National Crime Agency, and that can be leads to the crime. Okay. Then we need to think about the business ethics and the professional values. Here the concept of the business ethics suggests the business are normally responsible of their actions. And business, so we need to be think about the integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty. That's the crucial. The key principle, public life. Anyone is working in the public organization, they have to follow these principles as well, are called NELON. It's called NELON principles. Those are people working in the public office. They have the wider interest. They have more even ethics as well. So those we can look around if we have that scenario. So code of conduct, always we can set up in our organization. We need to be, those should be follow everyone, yes, and we need to be make sure we have a good system and more transparent in the organization. I'm not going word by word, but if you want, any specific point we can discuss. Okay, all the purpose is to be make business more sustainable. All these legislation. So what is the sustainability? We need to follow 3 P's. Do we know 3 P's? Triple bottom line concept. Anyone? We all know triple bottom line. What is meant by concept? We always need to be care about profit, planet, and people. That's triple bottom line. This is economic, social, and environmental. To be sustained in all the areas, we need to be really focused. If we don't focus it, we can't sustain it. Okay, member can be acting professionally, literally having a professionalism. So that's why professionalism may be interpreted in more as a state of mind, while the profession provides the rules that the members of that profession must follow. The professional behavior imposed and the obligation on the members to comply with the relevant laws and regulation to avoid. Okay, what do you think as accountant? What legislation we need to follow? As accountant, which legislation you have to follow? What do you think? All you're doing business, you're working. So what sort of legislation you think you need to be followed? Anyone, please? Let's what do you think? What sort of legislation? So health and safety. Yes. Act which year? 1974. DPA, data protection, or we have a GDPR. We have to follow. Okay. We have a basically it's all been merged. Equality and diversity. Diversity Act 2010 we have to follow. We have to follow the company 2006 earlier we discussed. We have to follow the crime proceed. Yes, which is it, if I'm right, is 2006 as well, and which we'll go through in a minute. And then money laundering, MLR, money laundering legislation we have to follow. We have to follow HRC guidance if we're dealing with the tax. We have to follow the standards. Yes. So these are our stock exchange for the legislations can be depends, yes. So these are the crucial thing as a becoming, and if we don't follow it, we can be. Okay, then a reactive approach in what is the reactive approach really as accountant we need to be. So we need to be make sure we follow taking the responsibility of all the negative consequences of accounting practice. Where the appropriate amendment we need to be and remove those consequences. Accounting practices fail to identify the risk of the special purposes entities established, like in Enron, yes, hide the debt and not actually incorporated. That's the case law as well. The practices is removed by the requirement from the accounting profession to include this off the balance sheet and the financing in the main. That's why we have all we know IFRS 16. IFRS 16, what is about? International Financial Reporting Standard 16, which is about leases. Lease has two types, finance lease and operating lease. In the past, we used to be only record the finance lease in our balance sheet, but now we need to be, doesn't matter if the finance or operating lease for the certain period and the certain amount is more than that, we should show in the book of account as an asset. And we create the liability, and when we'll carry on paying it, we can remove our liability and we can reduce our cash. So always keep in mind the new legislation, and we need to be reflected. Doesn't matter if even the asset if we not own it. or seeking out the positive contribution to the public interest and illustration. The accounting profession recognize the guidance how to carry out the environmental audit, accumulated appropriate metrics to include environmental audit is not available. So guidance provided in the public interest and the benefit to society, always look around, give the views as well. Even that's why is environmental or CSR reports is carry on becoming crucial. So public interest can be, so as an accountant, whatever we do, always we need to be work in the best interest of the public, acting collective well-being of society. That's our responsibility. This is a debate about the term public interest. Public interest normally is a refer to the common well-being. That's the key we need to as accountant, and we need to promote it. And usually, though the public interest is a benefit in society some way. It's unclear sometimes. Yes, many members must be benefit before the can be declared to the public interest. Some would argue that the action is a benefit is a single member of society. We should be wider interest of society, not single member, rich becoming rich in other tax hiding and these things. So we need to be look around. Okay, next we have always we look around the corporate governance and the risk. So governance is a major issues at the moment, like we discussed about Barclay Bank, CEO got the million bonus when the Barclay not earned a single penny profit. So it's a big issue. Yes, so director is withdrawing and not the people. Social responsibility, always work in the society's best interest. Always as accountant, we need a good system internal control in place that will help, that's the requirement as well. And corruption and bribery. Corruption is now is recognized as one of the world's greatest challenge at the moment. KPMG surveyed 100 companies in August 2009 and found 2/3 said it is not possible to do the business in some countries without being involved in bribery and corruption, like even it happened here as well when we deal with the BA system and aeroplane making for Saudi Arabia, and then the few kings got back end commission, and that came reporting back in 2012. Yes, so we need to think about the World Bank has stated the bribery has become the 1 trillion industries. So we need to be think about those lines. Corruption is a bribery, yes, and another behaviors we need to be as a spend fraud. All these are the examples. As accountant, we need to be think about and try to be reduce as much. Whatever the role we can play, we'll try our best to play. So always work the best interest of the public. Okay, that's it. Then we have a Computer Misuse Act. Is the key piece of legislation that the crime to act accessing the modifying the data stored on the computer without appropriate consent, because maybe the client is sharing the data with you and you have access of their banks, and we need to be make sure if we not follow it, it can be crime under the computer crime or the cyber crime 1990. So if we have our system hacked and our client will suffer the loss and we not insured, so we need to be make sure we have the legislation. We have to fully comply with it. Fraudulent behavior, the fraud can be defined as an intention deception. Yes, insider dealing, market abuse, money laundering, bribery. So what is a bribery really? You've been bribed, you've been given the bribe to someone, or you deal with the international any government official as well. That's all come under that definition of. What do you think? How much is the imprisonment? What do you think? If somebody is involved in the bribery, anyone? What do you think? Is there any limit? Yes, it's a 10-year maximum. Yes, with unlimited fine. Can be. Yes. So there are the number of the crime offenses that's undertaken by the individual concerned, operation and the management winding of the company, failure to file the accounts and the annual return. That especially is happening a lot in the limited company, providing misleading information to an auditor under the Company Act. So that's we need to be make sure we deal all these and follow the guidance. We have a company under the Company Act section is a crime to use the company name that required prior approval if the approval has not been obtained. Yes, so that's we need to be Company Director Disqualification Act we have. 1986. So those we need to be, and director can be. Anybody any question, please, if you have?
No.
Okay. These are some legislations we need to look around. There are plenty. So we have a key in our inductive contents which we need to be go through. That is called Fraud Act. Is a 2006, which is radically changed. We need to be. It's linked with obtain the property by deception, obtain money transfer by deception, obtain the advantage by deception. We need to look around obtain the services by deception. Fraud Act. Yes. Sexually deceptions, offenses, we need to look around. Defendant must have been dishonesty and have intended to make gain of it. So we need to be make sure. Misleading representation, yes. Reference are showing competency is actually not. That can be leads to this as well. Okay, the maintaining the professional independency. Accountant must maintain the independency, professional distance from the client. Your client character, professionalism, yes, that's all we need to be make sure you have follow. So financial interests, always follow the conflict of interest, not involve in directly financial interests. Of course, you get the money for the service is not a gift and hospitality, as we discussed. The gift can be, so you use a professional judgment on those lines. Gift and hospitality is illegal, but we need to be no one really induce you. Yes, nobody really influence you, because otherwise professional code of ethics going to be compromised. And if we're not giving the true and fair views, so our client is reliability can be issued, and then long run will affect it. We have a Bribery Act 2010, which is under the Bribery Act, bribing another person, being bribed, bribing a foreign public official, and failure by the commercial organization to prevent the bribe. So that can be leads to, and that can be leads to the imprisonment. So which we need to be professionally competencies and due care. If we're not, that can be create a problem. And the client money, can we keep the client money? If your client says, can you put my 10,000 in your account and keep it, please? Can I deposit in your account and keep the money and deduct your fees and rest pay me back after 1 year? What do you think?
No.
No. Because that's not really your money, because otherwise it shows it's your business. Yes, it's your profit. Because we need to be, we should keep it separate. Yes, if even we have to be, that's why the company opened the client account and office account. Even accountant should have two accounts. If we need to be keep the money client to pay to HMRC, so we have a clear guidance for it. It's a client money, it's not our money. Okay. Policies, guidance, separation, use, and accountability. Always keep, client money leads to the self-interest. And if you're using for mortgage or payments and things, yes, carry on happening, but it shouldn't be happen. Okay. Fraud Act, we have a 2006, fraud by the false representation, fraud by failing to disclose information, fraud by the abuse of position. Yes, like whatever your position as in society. So we need to be think about those lines, and we have to follow, because that leads to the crime. Okay, confidentiality, we can't transfer the data, we can't sell the client data, we can't share it without client information. If we go outside, like your back office is you're setting up, are you giving that work to in China to someone who's are in another part of the world? You have to be must comply with the Information Commission Office, and really to going outside EU is we need a written permission. Okay, anybody any question? If you have Confidential and Disclosure Act, we need to be make sure. Money Laundering and Crime Proceed and Terrorism Act, Proceed Crime Act 2002, money laundering and all linked with various other crimes as well. So we need to be follow these as accountant, our moral and social responsibility to follow, and well aware of, because that's at the moment is a lot of investigation going around. People bought the properties and then looking where the money came from through corruptions and all, and then afterward they try to legalize it. So those lot of investigation going around. That's why IRS 35, which is going to be, and this is all about to reduce these things. Okay, so under the Crime Proceed Act is maximum imprisonment 14 years, tipping off is 5 years, and failure to disclose is 5 years. So that's we need to be make sure we'll follow it. And I copied the link for you here. Yes, further look around the bribery and crime and the lot of case studies which we can use it for assignment and are for reference purposes in assignment as well. So that's all today lesson. We learn about what is these code of ethics, crime, and we discuss about various legislations. And as a professional accountant, always we need to be make sure use the professional judgment, always work in the wider interest of the public. If we don't follow these ethics, we can be, and ethics are the moral principle is come under civil law, and other we discuss crime in the criminal laws. And as an accountant, we need to be make sure we follow both to be more transparent and work in the wider interest of the public. So that's all today lesson, and if you have any question you can ask and we can go through. Thanks for listening, guys. Those are online and listening this recording. If you have any question, please drop me email on my email address sanjam@ukversity.co.uk, and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Thank you, Anju.